What's up?
What's going on, everybody?
Back by popular demand. Guess who it is, everybody? Guess who it is? Also, let us know. Can you hear us both okay? Since
Testing.
We're sitting a little further from the mic.
Testing.
Okay, well, that's going to be... Let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. If not, we will turn up the mic. What's up, friends? Long time no see from Tom over here.
It has.
It has been a long time.
It has been a while.
Tell
since
the public.
We've had a DORK discourse.
Where have you been? Yes, it's been a hot minute. Tom looking good.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Oh my god. Inside joke. Inside joke, everybody.
Yeah, no, the screen was black the other day, but
oh my god, yeah.
Could totally tell you were looking
for
good.
those of you who were there on not to like bring it back up because it does stink, because for like a long chunk of our interview with Ray Connects on ADHD on Thursday, we didn't know, like, everyone, the four of us could see each other and hear each other perfectly fine, but I guess to the audience, Alex's screen was totally blacked out. So Tom came home and tuned into the stream and he couldn't see Alex. He just saw a black screen. So he commented, like, Alex, you look great today. And I legitimately was also confused. I was like, oh, that's like a really sweet comment.
Yeah, very sweet.
From Tom. I was like, we're all buddies here. But, like, that was, I'm surprised. And then we learned afterwards, like, we can't see Alex. So that's why we're cracking up. But yes. What's up, everybody? Let's go. The Eagles won. The Eagles won. I'm so happy. You guys. Oh my god, wait, Sean, it was you. Sean, I can finally say thank you. Oh my gosh. Sean, I lost sleep last night over this. I'm so sorry, my friend, because I saw your donation and then the second I saw it pop up, the stream did crash. It wasn't you. It was some totally weird fluke thing. But I felt so bad because I don't know if you returned we tried it to get it back up again a second time and it just wasn't working. So third time was the charm. We finally got live again, but I don't know if you were still there. But I felt so bad. I was like, I am so sorry. So thank you so much, Sean. Very belated, but it was so appreciated. And I hope you didn't think that I was like totally ignoring you. I'm so sorry.
Shout out to you, Sean.
Yeah, we couldn't see anything. Congrats on the Eagles. Dude, there's so much dead air. Right? I was like, why didn't anybody in the chat? I feel like everybody was making comments about it, but like nothing was explicitly like, we can't see or hear Alex. So Tom was saying that it literally just looked like me, Zach, and Ray were all just staring at each other like awkwardly. I was like, well, I hope everybody would assume that Alex was like talking during all that dead air. And Tom was like, no, it actually really just looked so intense. He was like, wow, this interview is not going well with Ray.
Well, that's fine.
It's all fun. It's all fun and games. The Birds won. I almost can't even enjoy it because it's almost not even fair. We won in such a fashion that was just like, we got really lucky. Things took quite the turn for the worse, obviously, for the 49ers. But I'm not going to complain. We're going to the Super Bowl, baby. Here, do you want to use the mouse? Because your arm's closer to the thing if you would like to have control. Yeah, Tom's going to have control.
I know. I haven't seen the Opus interface here from the creator side yet. So
yeah, it's fun.
I'm very intrigued.
Oh, yes, we have the video comments, which we will activate probably soon at some point. That would be real fun. Oh,
it's inverted scrolling.
Oh, wait, are we mirrored right now? Did I not mirror us?
Is it back?
Wait,
no, it's right. No, it's good.
Oh, it's good.
It's
okay,
good.
good.
It's good, yeah, it's good.
Good.
Yeah.
The mirroring gets on Tom's nerves quite a bit, so.
We're good. We're good. So what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, why don't
good?
You chat for a bit. We're here to pregame for Last of Us coming out in T-minus an hour and 25 minutes. Yeah. And tonight's episode is allegedly, like, gonna be amazing. According to, not leaks, but ratings that I have seen coming out from people who already screened it. So, I'm definitely excited.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. I mean, I think that based on the videos you've put out in your streams talking about it, I think pretty much everybody's into it so far.
Oh yeah,
everybody's liking it so far, whether you've seen or played the game or not. I think everybody's enjoying it so far. So yeah, I think the 10th episode tonight is another good one. If it's, the two of us together have been kind of mapping out which episode is going to be which part of the first game. And for the first two, we were pretty much accurate in terms of what the first two episodes are going to be. So if the third one's accurate, then yeah, it should be pretty good.
Well, I think we're going to be seeing a big fat what tonight. No. Starts with a B.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not looking forward to seeing that in live action 4K on screen, but I think it'll be amazing either way. And I'm just so excited for Nick Offerman. If you're a fellow Parks and Rec fan or whatnot, I know he has another resume outside of Parks and Recreation, but I think we can all agree that Ron Swanson is like a goated character, legendary. So, Zach!
Yeah. Zach!
Thank you so much, my friend. I hope you guys are well. I hope that you are so well. It's been so good to see you. Hopefully we can get some watch parties again soon. Oh yeah, maybe I'll do them for Mandalorian. Now, I have been thinking, because the reactions were so fun to do, but I ran into a hiccup obstacle in which I can't really finesse technical difficulties in terms of capturing footage of what we're actively watching in order to input it into like my reaction so that you can actually see what I'm reacting to. Because I know that's what everyone like prefers. I've tried doing reaction videos where I just post my entire uncut reaction and I just put up like a screen with like the poster. I tried that once for like Kenobi, and a lot of people didn't like that because then you have to like either watch along on a separate monitor or whatever. So I've been thinking, if people really would like for the reactions to come back, maybe I will turn it into like watch parties, like what Alex and Zach do on ADHD, like what Theory does. Like he just goes live and he puts a clock up once he starts the episode and kind of people just watch with him. But I loved making the reaction videos because it's more fun to like edit. You can cut around the boring stuff when you're just staring at the screen for like, not boring stuff necessarily, but if there's segments where you're not actively like, jaw dropped, then you can kind of edit around those to just really focus on the main highlights of an episode and make it more funny. You can have more fun with editing. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys think that would be a fun solution to still have a form of reaction / watch party hybrid.
Yeah, I think that it's a great idea. I think that you get because it seems like with the reaction video, it's either do you show the whole thing and people can watch the entire thing, or do you just show like a montage and just the clips of the exciting parts?
Yeah.
With the watch party, you go live, so you have the entire unedited raw, reaction, right? But then afterwards, if there's like super exciting parts, it's easy to clip and just take the clips of it, mash it together, and then you can have like a couple minute highlight reel of the main reaction, and you can just pull it straight out of the live footage.
Yeah, but the whole problem is still getting the footage capture of the episode itself, the content. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If we decide to explore that route for Mando season 3, I think Ahsoka especially would be really fun.
Yeah. But thank you, Zach. Thank you, Zach. It's very, very appreciated.
Yes, very much.
Charlie, first two are so good. Charlie, glad you're loving it. Nick, it's been epic. Stanley's, it is. We're getting into the Bill part of the story. So,
and from what it looks like, we're gonna get backstory of him and Frank. Like,
which will be different.
It will be, but I wonder if Frank's like fate is gonna be the same. Like,
I think it has to be. I don't think they would change.
Yeah, because that's such a big, kind of a discovery in the game. So we'll see.
Oh, Jerry, so you're waiting for the whole season's over before you can binge it.
That's smart, honestly, especially if you've already played the game.
No.
It's not like you have to be worried about spoilers.
No.
If anything, you'd just be hearing plot points maybe that got changed or whatnot in the game. But if you already played the game and know how it ends, I guess you could get away with that.
Yeah.
Like if it was a show that I didn't know how it ends, like House of the Dragon, for example. I keep going back to that in Spoiler City, but I feel like a lot harder to dodge. I wouldn't be able to hold out that long versus I probably could for The Last of Us. That's actually wise because then you can just watch it all at once. I will say the weeks between episodes feel so long. I feel like they're like agonizing.
Yeah, it's the worst part. Jerry, have you played the game? I'm curious if you've played the game. Alice, I know you're getting the short end of the stick. That is very unfortunate. This. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you guys seen the movie Dune? Heck yes. In fact, my microphone is balancing on top of it. Heck yes. Love Dune. I don't know if Tom liked it as much as I did. If not, you need to watch it. Oh, don't worry. We have the newer version at that. Yeah. Do you think it could fit into Star Wars? I think it's very... There are elements of Dune that are very Star Wars-esque. Maybe it's just the desert planet aspect. But I think there are definitely interesting overlaps for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it was good. I mean, I'd never read the book, so I didn't know anything about it going into it.
Why don't you tell the truth?
Not in the movie theater.
Yeah,
Not
you
in the
did.
theater.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
yeah, and the guy next to you.
Oh. Okay. Maybe I fell asleep in the theater, and apparently the guy next to us fell asleep in the theater. I think the middle portion really there wasn't a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I do wish that I feel like the world building could have been I don't know. I feel like it wasn't like I'm still so confused with like the greater world and what's happening
admittedly,
elsewhere.
I was so glad that I did read the book because a lot of that is a bit wishy-washy in the middle of the movie when they're kind of just throwing all these canon backstory things at you and you're just like, what? Like it definitely they played it as if everybody knew what they were going to be talking about versus actually kind of detailing like what is a Bene Gesserit? Like what's the deal with, you know, like Paul and his abilities and his training? Like I feel like they could have dove into that a little bit more, at least provided a little more groundwork of explanation. Because I know a lot of people, like people in my family, were also like, what is everything?
Yeah.
What are all these details?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like if you're a diehard fan, I think that you would have loved it because they don't spend time explaining all the little, details. But it was like the first movie, right? So to, get people.
Second part is going to be like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. But, Dis, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dis.
Assuming you love it, so I'm glad you like it.
Woo.
Yeah, this
Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go. Wait, Colin, 12 months.
Colin. Oh, yeah. Okay, that shows up weird. Yeah, Colin.
Thank you so much. 1 year member time flies by so fast. Heck yes. Nice to see you both again. Thank you for all the great streams. I can't wait for the next ones. Colin, thank you, my friend.
Yes.
We love you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
I guess that thing covers my face.
Oh, did you put it on?
I think so. Right? If I just click it.
Yeah, I think you did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Go Birds.
Yeah, shout out to you, Colin.
Go Birds. Tom is intentionally avoiding that one, eh?
We don't need any. We already had the Eagles shout out to beginning. We don't need
Tom's beard is quite long, y'all. Yeah. Quite long.
Yeah.
Super Bowl bound, baby.
JT, great question. Unfortunately, we will not be at Celebration.
Yeah.
So we got a lot going on this year, and bridge too far to make it out to Europe.
Yeah, at this point also, I mean, the venue was also, even if we did want to go, it was way more cutthroat trying to get tickets this year, right? Because the venue is even smaller than they typically are, I believe. So it's, I remember hearing that it was a tough task. Thomas!
Sorry. Yeah, see, Alice, you and I are on the same page.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we were on a flight going somewhere. And I was like, right. I'm not feeling great. I need to try and go to sleep. Put Dune on.
You can be honest, you had food poisoning.
Was out.
You had the flu or something. And Tom needed to just go to sleep, and he put on Dune, and 5 minutes in, he was passed out. So
yeah, so I have seen the whole thing all the way through.
Have you?
Yeah, we watched it after it came out on HBO. We watched it. Made it all the way through. No.
Hey.
Charlie's up to something.
Oh, Charlie! Wait, that's right. You're gonna go. That is awesome.
Yeah, Charlie and JT are going.
That's so awesome. Yeah. Oh my God, you're gonna have such a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that all you're gonna say?
Yeah, I think we're caught up now.
Is this an issue for anybody else? Let us know. I don't know exactly how I would troubleshoot it, but
try closing out the stream and launch it back in.
Kytex, what's up? General Kenobi.
Hello there, Kytex.
Tom and I discovered an interesting truth today. We went on because NASA posted that thing of the moon, and they started their caption with "Hello there." Is that what happened? So, in case anyone here doesn't follow NASA, they posted a beautiful shot of like the moon out in space, obviously where it is. And their opening line of their caption was "Hello there," and the comment section was just flooded with 2% actual like space NASA fans, and the rest was just Star Wars people saying General Kenobi, General Kenobi. And we were reminded of that infamous Emma Roberts Instagram post where she probably didn't know what she was getting herself into, and she posted a picture and captioned it "Hello there," and her comment section was swarmed with General Kenobis for miles and miles and miles. And this was what, 2018?
Yep. Looked it back up again today. You check it like once a year. It's been like she posted it in December of 2018, I think. And still people comment to this day, General Kenobi.
Yeah.
It's like 120,000 comments strong. It's awesome. It's awesome. If you go on her Instagram, you find Emma Roberts, December 2019. It's hilarious.
Alice, that's awesome. So true. Yeah. And I was like, I cannot believe this hasn't like driven her crazy. Like, how has she not deactivated her comments by now, at least on that post? Skywalker, thank you so much, first off, for being here again. I appreciate it. And thank you for the boat of good luck. Let's pray. We reset our Wi-Fi. We both turned our phones off Wi-Fi. So hopefully that's enough to see us through. But yeah, we rewatched last night's the initial part of our Night Owl stream before it all tanked, and it literally just cuts off. It was so bad. Yeah. It just totally crashed so unceremoniously. So thank you guys again for putting up with that, but apologies for the confusion that probably ensued, because watching it back I was just like, oh my God, this is so awful. Yeah. So
yeah, it was pretty abrupt.
Yes.
Pretty abrupt exit.
It was.
Yeah. If people are having voice lag issues, okay, Alice, you said it wasn't fixed. Yeah.
I wonder what it could be. It's happening for everybody or just a select few?
I know when I've watched the streams, not being a participant, it'll happen, but then when I close it out and launch it again, it'll fix it.
Yeah.
Or if you just scrub in the stream and go back a little bit, then it usually fixes it.
Maybe. Colin, yes, that is so exciting. Yeah, for those of you, I mean, all of us Americans are like, why is celebration abroad? Like being all selfish as we usually are. But for those of you who live in Europe or are closer to the UK, I'm sure it's like a way more, it's more exciting that it'll be more accessible for you guys. So that's fun. We gotta spread the love. Just booked flights to London. Just need a cheap hotel now. And then Star Wars Celebration can come. I know, that is so exciting. Oh, that's gonna be awesome, Colin.
It's been in the US the last
like decade, I feel like.
Yeah, it hasn't been in Europe in quite some time. So
so
it's good stuff.
We gotta spread the wealth. No apologies needed. Thank you, Skywalker. Thank you. Yeah, LOL might move from Australia. No! No, don't. Australia is a beautiful place. We need to get out of here. I mean, y'all are fighting for your lives. I saw this TikTok and I actually wanted to send it to Alice and be like, is this true? It went pretty viral, I feel like. It was a person just chilling in his house, and he was going to like film a TikTok, and you saw this massive freaking spider. I'm not kidding, on the wall behind, like massive, big, like you could not miss it on the wall behind, like looked fake. It did not even look real. And he moved out of the way so that you could see it, and then it like jumped out of the frame, and it was gone in a split second. He was like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just the spiders. They come in and like whatever." Like he had no visceral reaction to it. And everyone in the comments is like, "Is this real?" And some people, how massive? Big. It was big. Giant spiders like Shelob or Aragog. Oh my god, I totally forget what the name was. Giant.
It was Shelob. It was Shelob.
Giant Australian spider. Goliath bird eater. No. That's not what it was called. I don't know. You guys probably have a lot. This isn't going to get me very far. I have to find this now. I saw it on Twitter. Australian spider. Come on. No. I'll probably never find it again. I should have saved it to interrogate Alice and be like, is this real?
Yeah, Alice goes, she's never met a massive spider bigger than a head.
That's still
but I've
pretty
seen
big.
Some as big as maybe a man's hand.
That's still pretty big.
Interesting. Skywalker has a good question here. What do you think happened to Jar Jar? Well, I think there's a canon explanation for what happens.
We'll go on.
Well, I think after, like in the Mandalorian-ish era, I thought that he was banished from Naboo and the Gungans, and he's like a deserted Joker, like a homeless Joker that's like on the streets or something.
I feel like
I don't know where that's from, what novel's that from, or whatever, but I think that's canon.
That's so sad.
Of what happened to him.
Let's pretend that didn't happen. Charlie is like, absolutely not. Hells no. Kill them all. I've seen years ago in New Zealand some crazy stuff. Oh, I bet. It's like National Geographic out there fighting for your lives against nature and its inhabitants. On top of, our Australian friends got to deal with all the kangaroo and whatnot. Wasn't it literally like raining mice? We're not going to get into it.
Raining mice.
Sorry, Jerry. We're going to move on from this. What are your thoughts on Spider-Man then? Are you a fan? Genuine question. Genuine question. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're right, Charlie.
This is everyone's theory.
He's going to be the one breaking through the door.
Oh yeah, I love Spider-Man. Jerry, that's amazing. I love it. Oh my goodness. That is so funny.
So, can you do polls in this?
You can, but it's like exceptionally it's interesting.
Oh, that's right, because you guys did the poll.
Yeah, we attempted to do it on Evil Ewok, and there's no button that people can click to vote for an option. They type an option, and then the AI gathers. But if somebody even says, like, it only accepts one-word responses, so as soon as somebody accidentally comments something that isn't poll-related, it throws it off.
Yeah.
So we haven't really tried to do one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, I have an interesting Last of Us poll, or a couple of polls that we could do, but we can just talk about it.
We just talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, we can just talk about it. So I think, Zach, this kind of goes into some of the questions that I had for you guys and to trying to get an understanding of how everybody else is feeling. But I think how many seasons do you think the show will have is a great starting question. So, I mean, we've kind of been talking small spoilers, but I think from here on out,
spoiler,
it's gonna be spoiler crazy.
Spoiler Nation. I don't know if you have that overlay I do. Wait, yeah, let's go back.
Maybe slap it on.
Let's go back. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
All right, from here on out.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So from here on out, it's gonna be heavy spoilers. Yeah. So Zach, to answer your question, I think that we would get probably 3 or 4 maximum.
Elaborate.
I think likely 3. I don't know about 4, but I think it depends on how they would split the second game into a second season. If they're going to go 1, that's interesting.
Ooh.
That's interesting.
We are pre-game, and Jay, what's that?
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
Also, I love this comment from Jay. What up, Last of Us zombie? Can I steal that? That's how I'm gonna start every stream or video where I talk about Last of Us. What up, zombies? Sorry.
Yeah, so I think it depends on how they would split up the second season for a second game, or based on the second game. Because, we just did a whole playthrough of the first game and the second game again. And the first game, I think you mentioned this in one of your other streams, but the first game was like roughly 10 hours of playthrough. Second game is like 20 plus hours to play through on just a regular difficulty. So it's twice the length of the first game. So if they're going to do one season for one game, would they do one season for part 2, or would they split it into 2 seasons?
That's a really
I don't
good
know.
point.
I think that it, just from a entertainment perspective, I think it might be tough to elongate the story of the second game out for 2 seasons of a show, even though it's still twice as long as the first game. Because it's essentially one story,
2 different perspectives.
2 perspectives, but the playthrough of each perspective is the same amount of time. So if you were to have, I think the way they outlined it is pretty good, where you don't know what the other person is doing until halfway through, and then it goes back in time. But if they were to restructure it, where it was like more of a real time, everything that happens in the second game happens linearly in order, then you would have a lot of overlap, and then you wouldn't rely on in the game, the lengthy part of the missions for, each of the days in Seattle. So I think it's a very good question, how many seasons they're going to be. And I know that, Neil came out and made comments saying that, we're not sure about a third game yet. We like where the end of part 2 ended off. So if we're going to make a part 3, it'd have to really be a really intriguing story. I don't think there's any shot that we don't get a third game. I think we're definitely getting a third game. I think that the hype that the show is bringing and how well it's being received, they're going to be extremely
I think there's demand.
Motivated because the demand is so high to make a part 3. And even after, we finished the playthrough of part 2 yesterday, and after seeing the ending again, we're like, I don't know how they're satisfied with the ending, because they leave the threads and there's so many more. They set it up for a part 3, we think, really well. Where Abby and Lev end off, and then like where Ellie goes from there is a pretty big mystery. So, we had some discussions about where we think the third game could go. But whether it would be first season, first game, second season, second game, third season, third game, I don't know. Because I think they have enough in the second game to split it into 2 seasons. But I could also see them not wanting to extend that story out beyond the second season. Like beyond 1 season of showtime.
Yeah. That would be interesting. Nick Gundy says 3 seasons.
Yeah, they're going to have at least 3. I think they're definitely going to make a third game. And obviously right now it'd be iffy on like what would maybe happen first. Because, I mean, a third game, if it's going to take the amount of effort and quality they put in the second game, I mean, it's going to take a long time to develop that.
Took them 10 years.
Right?
So, it was like...
I don't think it was 10 straight years of development, but it was 2013 to 2020. Yeah. I think was the gap.
But they weren't necessarily in production that whole time.
Yeah, because they were saying Uncharted games and other stuff like that. So.
Their resources were split.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that they would want to release the show before the game.
Oh, like maybe not. A season 3 or 4 that follows the end of the story.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they would. I think they would likely be able to push out a third season before the game.
Probably.
But that'd be very interesting. Yeah, Chris. I mean, I think we agree because the second game is massive. There's so many storylines, and it's very different from the first game. As you get the polarizing perspective of the protagonist and the antagonist. And then you get the whole big picture put together. So, you really could do like Ellie's story is 1 season and Abby's story is a 2nd season. I don't think they would go that route, though. I don't know if they would go that route.
Yeah, that actually is really... I'm curious how they will. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing it overlapping as the show... in chronology, like it flashes between Ellie and Abby, as they're on the same timeline for the part 2. I don't know where it would end off though, and then pick up if you were to split it. Where would you split part 2? Because that's tough. Because it's not like I could see maybe a big like cliffhanger potentially if you're gonna do it. I don't know.
Yeah, Charlie, you're right. I mean, everything we've seen, it's really trending and getting praise.
Oh my God, 100%.
Right? I haven't really seen any negative discourse about the show anywhere. It's been all positive.
Even people who typically, some other YouTubers who are a little more prone to have critiques are coming out and saying like the show is so well done. I think it has unanimously like set the bar for gaming fans in terms of live action adaptations. It's like the #1 show on IMDb currently.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is a good question. I don't think you don't even need, a lot of the clickers to really have it be a good story. Like after
that's
playing
a part of the game aspect, you you don't need 5-hour sequences of just fighting clickers,
No, but like in the second game, the way they introduce I think some of the more interesting aspects of the story are when it's the human versus human conflict.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously the clicker and, zombie cordyceps threat is there the whole time. But like in the first game, when you get to like the Pittsburgh Raiders and you have to get away from them, and then you get into the winter, and then you're dealing with Cannibal Land.
God.
And then in the second game, dealing with the wolves versus the Seraphites and that whole conflict, and like seeing both sides of that conflict, like the wolves camped up in the Seahawks football stadium, and then the Seraphites on the island. Like those things are really, really interesting.
Well,
and then obviously
the Rattlers.
Yeah, the Rattlers.
It's slavers. Like part 2 definitely highlights. I mean, a little bit in part 1, like the cannibals are the scariest part of that game. And there's like horrific, obviously like bloaters and zombies, and yet human cannibals are the scariest level. Like that game, especially part 2, shows like the scariest enemies that you have to face are other people.
Yeah.
Which could be obviously like one of the biggest parts of the show. Like that was my takeaway from part 2. Like everyone is just out for like survival of the fittest, like every man for themselves type.
Yeah. So in short, Jonathan, I think we both think that they could definitely pull that off.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And just if they're just the clickers are out there in the background, but they don't need to be front and center every single time.
Should they make big changes? Are you referring to that big, shocking event that takes place at the beginning of part 2 that absolutely divided and crushed the entire fan base? There's no way they're going to deviate from that. How would they can't revoke that, because then that's them admitting, oh yeah, we made a mistake killing this character off.
No, they're not going to change it.
I wish.
And after playing through the second one again, like I know for the first playthrough, it was definitely pretty stunned and caught off guard. But after watching it or going through it again for the second time, like I think that they actually masterfully crafted the game around that story. Because they hit you with the shock and the anger right away. Mm-hmm. Like you're instantly like just
you don't want to keep playing.
No,
you're just like F this.
And then the first half of the game turns into Ellie getting revenge, and you're like, they set it up so that you want to get revenge too. And then the second half, obviously, you don't play as Ellie anymore, and then you're even more mad. You're like, what? But then by the end of you playing as Abby, you actually like feel bad for Abby, and you're starting to sympathize with her, and you see everything that she's gone through. And then it gets to the end, and you're like if you had only seen Ellie's perspective, you would be very upset that she spared Abby. If you only saw Abby's perspective, you would want, Abby to kill Ellie. But the fact that they eventually, after all the trauma and everything they've been through, come to a truce, I think that's the whole point of the second game. That's my takeaway from it, is that you have these two completely opposite perspectives on the same event. They come crashing at each other, and then how does it come to a resolution? And the third game would be at least based on what we've said, would be the going back to the clashing of those two stories. And, and now that there's no more conflict, we'd see what happens from there.
What was I going to say? That's why I'm real curious, because the way that they force you to play through that game, and you're not jumping back and forth, like you do experience Ellie's POV, and then you start all the way back over from Abby's POV. That's part of the magic of part 2, is the storytelling is so phenomenal. And the way in which, like you said, they did craft it to eventually change your perspective. It's like, I wouldn't want to, it's so well done. It would be a shame to lose that in, transferring to live action. But it would be a super long, maybe the season would just be longer, or I don't know, because it would be really hard to do the same story justice, similar to how we think they're going to go about doing part 1 here. If it's 9 episodes, it was 10 hours of gameplay. That seems like it's on a trajectory to pretty much follow very faithfully what the events of part 1 are, which, and they've said themselves, like they acknowledge that this fan base is very passionate, and they're not going to want to deviate too much unexplained from the events of the game. So they're obviously aware of that. So what would be I don't know what a happy medium would be for part 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it would have to be...
Alice, I wish. First off, intermission. I'm allergic to cats. I think I'm also actually allergic to dogs too, but I'm in denial about that one. I've been allergic to cats my entire life. My allergy to dogs developed within like the last 5 years or so. So it's a little bit more like I don't think about that. I don't admit that as willingly. Like I'm only 50% allergic to dogs, but I'm 100% allergic to cats. I want a dog so bad. Tom won't let me get one. Y'all heard me on the stream last night. I brought Grogu up, and somebody thought that I had a puppy with me, and I was like, I wish, because I would just make videos all the time. Like, could you imagine if I had a little puppy and I just was making videos with it sitting on my lap?
No, Grogu's better.
That would be exceptional for our channel for clicks, engagement. If I had a puppy, would go from here to here. Why don't you get a rabbit? Oof, I don't even know if we're allowed to have one in our... I'm gonna be completely honest. Rabbits freak me out just a little bit. They're like anatomy. I wouldn't want to... I want something I can cuddle with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Grogu's great. Keep cuddling Grogu.
This is what I get for now. Yep. Or a turtle. I love Alice throwing out suggestions so that I can have a buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, Stanley's. I think this is probably what they would have to do. Some type of hybrid, right? Because if they did like the first 4 episodes all Ellie, then the last 4 episodes all Abby, and then like the finale would be the whole Santa Barbara thing. Mm-hmm. That would be one way to do it, but I don't know which one would be better. If they'd like had them interweaved the whole time, and then you get to the showdown in the theater in like the penultimate episode, and then the last episode gets into Santa Barbara and the actual ending. I don't like. It seems like the game didn't want you to know the full story at the theater until the very end anyway.
Yeah.
But they got you to like halfway through seeing Ellie's side up to that point, and then you go back and see Abby's side up to that same point, and then when they get to that point, then it's like linear from there on out. But I think they would want to keep that like theater showdown as the kind of more towards the end of the season. But I don't know if they would do it in the same way where you see Ellie's after like 4 episodes, and then you see Abby's story, and then you get it after her 4 episodes. I don't know if they would go that route based on the way like the game crowd reacted.
If you actually like think about it, like there is a lot of combat in part 2 that I think could trim a little bit to focus solely on the storyline. But now that you're saying it, like the timeline is like 3 days worth of events, right?
Yep.
It just feels so much longer because there's like one thing after the next. But 4 episodes actually could be, if they had maybe a 10 episode season, like episode 1 for all the events that happened leading up to like, that big death. We literally made it like abundantly clear, like we're going to be talking spoilers. I put it in the description and I still don't even want to like say it because it just hurts.
Well, yeah, because if anyone happens to be watching and they're like, even if you're okay with spoilers, like that's a pretty big, like that changes the trajectory
it's
for
huge.
The entire thing.
It's huge. So that could be like episode 1. Because if you think about it too, the game part 2 really, I mean, I guess part 1 does this as well, but part 2 kind of teleports you to like when they get to Seattle, when Ellie gets to like Santa Barbara. Like there's a lot of parts that they don't necessarily show whatever days worth of travel would have been to, get to those locations and whatnot. So if the game were to follow suit and similarly, time jump and just kind of bypass that and just fast forward to being like, okay, Dina and Ellie arrive in Seattle, maybe it could realistically occupy, 4 episodes each.
Yeah.
And then 1 episode for the premiere, and then 1 for the finale in Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that could be it. The question is, well, I don't know. I'm wondering, because that was a huge, like Tom, like you just explained, we had a lot more of an appreciation for it the second time around versus I think shows don't exactly have the same luxury in terms of like first impression, because like for me personally, if I finish a game that I really liked, I want to replay it. Like same with Fallen Order, like that's more fun and engaging versus if I finish like, I don't know. Or for example, like Last of Us Part 2, we were iffy about it the first time through. But then there's still that incentive to like, I don't know, replay it just for the sake of it's fun and it's the storyline and you love the characters. But like with a show, if I don't like a show first time through, it's a lot harder for me to force myself to rewatch it, like maybe that's a personal thing, but you know me, like I don't like to rewatch things if I didn't enjoy them.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because the game is still it's ultimately a game, right? Yes. So you're interacting, you're playing, you're shooting, you're crawling around.
There's a lot more other than the story. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, from a gameplay perspective, it's incredible. So, there's benefits to going back and playing it through that are independent from the quality of the story.
True. So
what you thought of the story.
The problem is a lot of people, I think the challenge might be having the same adaptability if they were to do the second season in a similar fashion of telling the whole story, get to the climactic point, and then pausing the momentum and dialing it back, and then you have to start ground zero all the way with Abby. Like, it would... I feel like are people going to be as patient with that versus in game format? Because a lot of people were, I think, like, well, I'm not going to deny it. The first time you played that game and it showed us that once we realized, because it gets to that theater point and then all of a sudden it cuts and then you wake up as Abby. And we were like, okay, what is this?
Yeah, like and how long is this going to be? Yeah. Like, okay, we've been in Abby for a little while now, and then it goes and says Seattle day one, and you're still Abby, and you're like, this is you're Abby, you're Abby for another 10 hours, you're Abby. That's how long you're Abby.
Like, when we realized that, we were honestly like, F this. We were so livid, like, the first time through, and that sunk in. So I wonder how audiences, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat that, and we're fans, like, we love the game now. We both just admitted, like, we appreciate it more, but I wonder how audiences are going to receive if they do a similar format, because like you said, there's more incentive when you're playing the game. You get to do the combat. It's not just about the story. It's like if you're playing a video game and it happens to have a really good story as well, then it's a win-win. But when you're just watching the show and you have to just sit there and take it, and you're not actually playing and getting the, like, experience, it might be different. Yeah. It's kind of similar to, like, when we went to see The Last Duel, It
is.
For those of you who've seen it, it's a story told through 3 different perspectives, but it's pretty much the same. By the third one, you're like, oh God, we've seen this story.
It's like literally like the same exact story, right? Yeah. Like they're all in the same room together at the same time. This, at least, like, Ellie and Dina are on their own path through Seattle.
That's true.
Abby and Lev are on their own path through Seattle.
Yeah.
And then eventually you see how they intertwine and end up. So it's definitely less repetitive than the Last Duel story. Alex, what's up? This is a great question.
I think 100%. Heck yes. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. Everything, literally everything. And it's not even like it's just like, oh, one element is stronger than the other. No, everything is perfect. I think the performances. Now, also, like, I'm trying to not have, like, rose-colored glasses. Is that what they say? But, like, rewatching the episodes, like, it's been consistently, they're good. Like, it's very well done in every regard. And people who haven't even played the game are saying the same thing. I feel like that's the telltale sign, because for those of us, my Funko Pops. For those of us who did play the game, maybe we would have more inclination to be biased and just think it's amazing because we love the game. But then it would be a different story if the non-game people were like, actually, it's not that good. But that's not the case. Like, even the non-gamers are like, this is amazing, which is a really good, like, that's phenomenal. That's so impressive, if you ask me. Like, that you're able to not only, because I can imagine, like, there's pressure there of like, you have to appease the game audience, but then also make it exciting for people who didn't play it, who don't have that knowledge or backstory. So that's double the types of audiences that you need to be catering to versus like, so I can imagine a lot of people, if I were to be in that position producing something like that, I would just keep going back to like, well, hopefully at least the game people like it because they have to, because they played it. But the fact that they nailed that in every regard, I think, is a great sign.
So Chris, this is another good point. I think the word of mouth is crucial. I think for the first couple episodes, word of mouth has been huge. But going into the second season, depending on how they line it up, I think that the word of mouth would be still critical in how well the show does. It will be very interesting, which is basically what you were just talking about, how audiences would react to a transition like that. Very interesting. Very interesting.
It would be. Alice left. I'm late. But it was good to see you. Love you, Alice.
See you, Alice.
Thank you for always being here.
Enjoy your meeting.
That's right. Yeah. Tom didn't recognize her when you were playing. Or did you this time?
No. Well, she's not. Like, I don't think she's mo-capped up.
She is.
Her face. Is it her face?
Yes.
Is it her face? Oh.
Her name is also Emily, isn't it, in the game?
I'm not sure.
Last of Us 2. It's totally her. Like, you can tell. She's just, like, wearing braids. All right, she has, like, no makeup on, right? Like, none of them are glammed up. But, that's totally her.
Well, she's the one who basically is about to kill Abby, right?
Yes, she's, like, the leader who's, like, goes to, like, hang Abby. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell because she, like, that's her with... It's obviously, it's totally her. It's all in her cheekbones. Her cheekbones are fabulous. But that was actually cool because I don't know if did that game come out before Mandalorian? Yeah, so that was I wasn't familiar. I hadn't watched Supernatural.
Did it?
Mando came out, was that in like November of 2020? We have technology.
Was it 2020?
We have the internet.
2019?
Mandalorian season 1.
I think it was 2019 is when season 1 came out.
It was November 2019.
I think Last of Us 2 came out spring of 2020.
That makes sense. Look at all this Disney Star Wars that we've gotten.
I believe. Okay. 2019. Yep.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. The chat is like our encyclopedia.
I know. Yeah.
They always know. I'm always over here like trying to crunch numbers and they know.
Yeah.
They always know. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. It was the debut
series.
Show. Yeah.
And look where we are now. It's already season 3. Sheesh. Sorry, I just came here. Who's the guy?
What's up?
Yeah. For those of you who maybe don't know, I guess a lot of new friends are here. We did our latest Dork Discourse, which was last year. This is Tom. This is my fiance. And he 90% of the time acts very mysterious and vague. And everyone will always be in the chat begging for him to just come on and say hey. And he doesn't. He likes to be mysterious. But every now and then we host a Dork Discourse. We're hour. Nick, I love that.
Honor Nick.
I love you, Nick. That's amazing. But yes, as you can see, he's a fan fave. He's a fan favorite here. But yeah, so we got T-minus 35 minutes to the episode. Maybe we'll go for another 20 minutes till we're 15 minutes out, so everyone can get.
Zach.
Get with the program. Oh my goodness.
So, a topic could be Game 3, Season 3 predictions. More so Games 3, because...
Yeah, I hope that comes first.
Yeah, I would hope so, too.
I wouldn't want it to be the other way around. Yeah. Unless the show gets such mega popularity, and, like, that does happen. Networks see, oh, Last of Us is one of our top rated. We need to get another season. Yeah. And if they were to be like, that's exactly what they did with Game of Thrones. Like, George R.R. Martin was not finished and wasn't going to be for a hot minute with his final book. But the demand was so, like, we need it. So they just, like, went ahead, and did their own thing. Same company, HBO. I'm not saying that's wrong, by the way. I don't know if I would have been able to hold out this long. He still, like, has, like, 500 pages left or something like that. So it obviously would have been, like, a risk holding out and waiting that long anyway. You lose audience interest, but... So I can picture them doing something similar, being like, listen, people want more of this. Do you have a story in mind? Yeah, we're working on the game currently. When's the game supposed to come out? Oh, not for another, like, 3 years. Well, can we just do it now? Like, because it's obviously quicker for them. I mean, I don't know. The process of motion cap and VFX is, like, incredibly long and diligent. And these games are known for their graphics are on, like, a whole other tier. Yeah. So the last thing I would want is for them to, like, rush that. That's one of, like, the literal best parts of these games is the visuals. Sean, have a good evening, my friend. Thank you so much for being here.
Have a good one, Sean.
JC knows that you're into aerospace.
Oh yeah. Yeah, great topics. Great topics, JC, for sure. But this is a great point. Loving the show so far. Can't wait for Bill. Mm-hmm. Agree. I think the Bill and Frank episode we're gonna get tonight is gonna be pretty. I mean, if it goes based off the game, even though someone said it might be different from the game, then it should be good. Yeah, definitely going to be Pedro's year.
It's already his year.
It's going to be his for sure first 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
And then, R.I.P.
That news is so sad. She was only in her 50s. Yeah. The timing is also just, it's so unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is really sad.
Charlie's living the life. Not a bad combo. Not a bad
had
combo.
Olive Garden forever.
Is there even one near us?
I have no idea, but I want it. Should we get some? Let's get it.
Just hope season 2 makes me like Abby as a villain. Well, did the game make you like her as a villain? Like, I wouldn't even necessarily use the word villain to describe her even after you play the game. It's like, from her perspective, Joel and Ellie are like the villains. Realistically, think about it this way. I try to put the game makes you put yourself in her shoes. Whether you want to be there or not. It's like, listen, take a look at her side of the story. Yeah. And if you think about it, like if somebody killed my dad, totally unwarranted, no reason at all, and my dad was on the verge of helping to create a cure for the world in the apocalypse, I would be pretty pissed. And I would, I'm not as strong as Abby, let's put it that way. But if I was capable, I would go and I would try to avenge my father and the entirety of humanity on behalf of everybody who could have been saved with a cure. And I wouldn't then expect them to come after me because it's like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Y'all are the ones who did something wrong. Like, we are coming into the game rooting for the people who like did something wrong, so that's why I'm hesitant to even call her a villain, because everybody in this universe is a villain. Like, they just kill. They just all kill at will, and that's everyone.
Well, I think that this is, the story in part 1 is so incredible, but even the way like it ends off. It ends with, obviously the hospital scene and what happens, and then Joel covering up the truth, lying straight to Ellie's face. And it's like, after that scene, you're like, I mean, there's no way that this can end well. It's like, one, they're ending the game with a massive lie cliffhanger, and you're like, are you serious? This is the end of the game? They're just going to casually end the Fireflies and prevent the cure from happening, and then Joel just lies about it. You're like, okay, the story is wild and it's incredible, but it's like, that if there's going to be a second game, there's going to be some type of consequences, right? They set it up with the ending of that.
Oh, it's so ominous. Like, there's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. But then, like, obviously you play the whole game from Joel and Ellie's perspective, and the first game is obviously from Joel's perspective. He's given up on the, cure efforts and the humanity, and he's like, no, this girl's life isn't worth it, and it's not worth risking her life and taking her life in the off chance that there's a possible cure. And so it's about, like, saving his new daughter, saving his pseudo daughter, to keep her alive at all costs. And then obviously the second game, you get what are the real consequences, and how does Joel's actions
come back
impact, the rest of the bigger picture, and then we get that. But yeah, they definitely didn't hold back for trying to make everybody playing question who they're rooting for, and who they think is the hero. But yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and that is, when you see that for the first time, it's such a tough pill to swallow. You're like, one, Joel and Tommy helped Abby, right? They helped her. They helped rescue her. And then they go back to the lodge that all the wolves were staying at.
Yeah, he, like, totally doesn't see it coming.
Yeah. And then in the moment, you're like, that is so, like, uncalled for and unwarranted.
Yep.
And then the whole rest of the game is about the reveal of what the whole backstory is, and the years long history between the events at the end of the first game to where they are now. And yeah, it's like, if you're Ellie and you're Joel and Tommy, it's like, that's brutal. But then the whole rest of the game challenges you to think, well, if you were in Abby's shoes, like you were saying earlier, like, is it unwarranted? I mean, I think Mel kind of gives the perspective where, like, she gets into it with Abby later in the game, and she's like, you're a monster, I forget exactly what she says, but she's basically calling out Abby for her ruthlessness and, like, ways, so, like, you see that obviously it's, like, tearing apart the friend group relationship post the events that happened. So I think Abby regrets, I think towards the end, she starts to regret, like, with what happened and how it ended up ruining her life, because all her friends are now dead.
She dragged a whole team into it, and she watched them drop like flies one by one. I do think it's interesting. I can't remember if this line is in the game, Tess's last words to Joel before she shoos him away with Ellie and saves them and is like, go, before she bites the dust. When she says in the show, save who you can save, does she say that in the game?
I actually don't remember.
Because it's especially funny that those are her parting words with him, and you would think that would come back up when he makes that decision, like, oh, I can save all of humanity right now if I just let them operate on Ellie, but he chooses to save, like, one person over all of the human population. I think that's kind of an interesting what they added.
Yeah, in his head, he's like, okay, what's in my control? And in his decision making could directly save Ellie, which they end up doing. If he doesn't save Ellie, then she's going to die for a chance that other people can develop a vaccine. And then after that, it's like, you start thinking about the logistics. It's like, how is it even going to work? It's been 20 years since the outbreak happened. How would they, even if they have a vaccine, how would they mass manufacture it?
Yeah.
How would they mass administer
distribute it? Yeah.
Like, would it be, like, at that point, 20 years afterwards, it's just pockets of civilization. Like, how would you go about distributing and manufacturing a mass vaccine? So, I think all those things are going in Joel's head. He's like, it's not worth it. She's going to die. Even if they have a vaccine, how are they going to get it out to people? Are they just going to give it to themselves? They're just going to make themselves immune? Are they're just going to go on a road show and vaccinate all the immune? Like, it does. I don't think it would revert.
I think the premise is to help
like immunity.
No, yes, help humanity survive for future generations. You know, obviously, I think the Fireflies would distribute it amongst themselves first. Let's be real. But like people like the slavers and, you know, the cannibals, how are you going to access them? It's also like no World Wide Web anymore, so they'd have to spread word of mouth. Hey, we have like, it would be incredibly hard to officiate and whatnot. OMG.
Thanks, Obsession.
Colin, thank you for being here. Oh, your first 2 lessons are canceled. Let's go. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope we're not keeping you up. As always, I never want you to be like sleep deprived, but on the other hand, I'm glad that your classes got canceled for the morning. So now I feel a little less guilty. But we're probably going to only go for how much longer? Maybe 10 more minutes so that everyone can get settled in. Get ready for the episode. Dropping very soon. I'm like so excited. The best part of this, the construct of this show so far, at the rate that it is, and the fact that we know the game, it's like we know there's not a boring like episode, I feel like, in store. Every week is gonna be one heartbreak after the other. Like, it's literally just from here on out. It's not smooth sailing for them, as we know.
I mean, the whole premise of the show is, oh wow, humanity's torn apart, and all these people are dying tragically. So that's pretty much if you had to sum up the show in in one sentence, it's tragic death after tragic death, dealing with zombie-ridden Earth after 20 years. So
10, hey, got the last 10. I know, watch. Somebody always tunes in right as we are signing off, and I hate it. Jay, what's up? Good to see you again.
What's up, Jay?
Thank you so much for hanging out and for being here. Oh, this is actually a good one, Stanley's. I'd assume you'd put the vaccine into water or airborne for worldwide distribution. Then you'd have to make a ton of it, would you not?
Yeah, I mean, the logistics of, like, distributing a vaccine when there's no modern...
Bye, Josiah. Thank you for being here.
See you, Josiah. Like, yeah, the logistics, like, it's crazy to think about how they would do it. However, if we start thinking about where a third game would go... I mean, you and I were talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we think the storyline is going back to where the main premise of the first game was, which is we know there's an immune person. There's people out there trying to not give up on humanity. I think that those two would have to come back together.
What's up, Aiden?
Because, the second game ends with Abby going to the Catalina Island, and there's the alleged 200 Fireflies there. And now Abby knows Ellie and that she's immune. So she brings that knowledge to the Fireflies. I think that Joel kind of hinted at it at the end of season or end of game 1 in the hospital when he kills Marlene, and he's like, she's like begging for mercy and whatever. And he's like, if you're alive, then you're just going to come after her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his reasoning. So I think that's hinting that, Fireflies are going to, eventually come after Ellie. And now there's a new contingent, and Abby has the information and whereabouts. I think that you could see the Fireflies try and go after Ellie. But then it really ends off with Ellie just kind of walking in the woods, and you don't really know what is going to happen with her. But I think that, it'd be very interesting to see if the Fireflies found Ellie and kind of her guilt and frustration with Joel of being taken out of the hospital and not giving her life, and her life is meaningless now. What her reaction would be if the Fireflies say, "Hey,
we're coming for you.
We can still do this." And what her reaction?
That's what my question is. Like, if she clearly has a will to live, and this is my bone to pick with Ellie, because she's taking it out on Joel, and she's like, you know, I can't forgive you for this. But she has every right on her own accord to leave and go hand herself over to the Fireflies. But
I mean,
as
at
far
that
as we
time,
know,
they
she
think they're all
doesn't.
dead.
Oh,
they think
that's
they're
true.
all dead. Like that was it. And so at that point, like both Joel and Ellie are under the impression that there's no Fireflies left.
Yeah.
But Abby,
knows.
a former Firefly, realizes and finds where they are. And so Abby's the connection with Ellie and the Fireflies now. So I think the third game would have to be, you know, focusing on that and where it goes from there. So I don't know. What anyone who's seen the show or ready to, you know, speculate on a third season, do you think that makes sense? Like, does anyone else have any season 3, game 3 predictions of where it would go after part 2?
No.
Because outside of that, I think maybe that's what Neil is talking about, where they say, "Oh, we don't know if we have a solid story." Like, if the game is just Fireflies finding Ellie, and then what happens in between.
The problem is, it's like that could be interesting because it is ambiguous. It's like Ellie has nothing left now. That's one thing. Like, does she have much to fight for or live for at this point, or would she be more satisfied if she dedicated her life to science, you know, and saving, hopefully, the population? So there's not much conflict there. By having Dina leave Ellie at the end of the second game, like maybe if Ellie returned home to Dina and their son, like maybe it would be a little more conflicting because she has something to live for. She has a family. It would be harder for her, but they made a point to show she has absolutely nothing left by the end of part 2. So it's like, well, there's not much overarching conflict there if, like, they come after her and she willingly, voluntarily submits, you know? So it's like...
Then Tommy goes after her.
Oh, God. Everyone's just going after everybody. I don't know.
They capture her. She's at the hospital. So then Tommy and Dina go after them. But then Ellie's like, you guys didn't have to capture me. I would have done it.
Stanley's, I like that idea, actually.
That's true. That's another good point. Maybe they realize there's a way, or maybe her mutation has evolved in a way since the 5 years that they've looked at her last time, that maybe there is a non-lethal way to do it. That's a great point.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. That could be. And then they have to travel to that doctor. It's like, oh, he's in Europe. It's like,
that
all
doctor's
right.
in Antarctica.
Yeah. Well, we might start wrapping it up, folks. We're T-minus almost 15 minutes out now from the episode, and I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. This show's so dang good. And obviously, with tonight being Bill's episode, Tom doesn't mind being covered by the memes. With tonight be having a Nick Offerman in store. And again, I keep seeing like really rave reviews. Allegedly, there were some leaks. Some elements of tonight's episode got leaked, allegedly, but I didn't see. No, I didn't see anything online. I kind of stayed off Twitter after I saw that. I was like, steer clear. So, but from what we're hearing from people who have seen it and are giving no spoiler reviews, they're saying it's like one of the best hours of television, according to some people. So that bodes pretty well. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Charlie, thank you. Colin, thank you. I keep thinking 9 Central instead of 9 Eastern. Yeah. Well, that's a win for you, Nick, because then you're like, it's a hour less, right? That you have to wait, right? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really enjoyed these past 3 streams this weekend. For those of you who tuned in for all of them, literally shout out to you all for being here. It means a lot. We missed you guys with Dork Discourse. Yeah. Glad Tom could join us again. It was a fun time, and maybe we'll do this again next Sunday before the episode, because there won't be any football games that we'll have to navigate around. Sunday after that, I can't guarantee, because it's gonna be the Super Bowl. So, but we'll see. But yes, thank you all so much for hanging out. Let's go get it, zombies. Let's get it. Hopefully we have a great episode in store, and hopefully you guys have, I missed Tom's face. Hopefully you guys have a great week in store. Thank you all for being here and spending some time on your Sunday or Monday evening, I guess it is, for some of our friends in the future. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys again very, very, very soon.
Yeah, good talk, everyone.
Yeah.
Good conversation as always. Hope everybody enjoys the episode for those who are watching.
Let's get it! Can't wait. Alrighty. Take care, guys.